Daddy, my daughter Sasha said, you have to come to school tomorrow to meet my new teacher. What happened to your old teacher, Mrs. Greendale? I asked. Her husband had a heart attack, so she will have to stay home and take care of him for the rest of the school year, she replied. I liked Mrs. Greendale. She was an old school teacher. To her, there was no newfangled nonsense blaming parents. I never had to go up to school unless Sasha did something stupid. Can't your mom meet her at the PTA meeting? I asked. I'd rather you meet her. My mom has been acting so weird lately, Sasha said. Okay, Angel, I'll try to come, but I can't promise anything, I said. Teacher meetings are obviously under your mom's jurisdiction. My name is Lucas McCain. I'm a representative for Devlin International. I'm 35, soon to be 50. I'm 5 feet tall, have brown hair and brown eyes. I'm in pretty good shape thanks to my daily jogging, and I love my wife and daughter more than anything. My wife Dana was one of the driving forces behind the school PTA, or whatever the modern term is. Dana was short, about 5 feet tall. At least that's what she swore she was. Every time I measured her, it turned out that she was 4 feet 11 inches tall. She was slender, with a good figure. We had been married for 14 years and had been spoiling our daughter for the last 10 of those years. There were still 8 more years before Sasha left for college. But Sasha was right about one thing. Dana was acting strange again. The last time she acted like this was when she was pregnant with Sasha. She was trying to figure out what we were supposed to have and what to do to make the pregnancy go easier before she told me. I think a lot of it was my own fault because I never showed any interest in children. But from the very first day my little angel was born, from the moment I personally cut the umbilical cord and slapped her butt, she was Daddy's little girl. Dana arrived a little later and headed straight for the shower. She'd been doing this a lot lately, maybe once or twice a week. I didn't pay much attention to it because women always take baths and showers much more often than guys. Looking back now, I think I was stupid, or at least ignorant. But let's face it, most of us are like that. We get married because we love the other person so much that we want them to be a permanent part of our lives. Part of that love is the fact that we trust him or her in several ways. We trust that they won't hurt us. We trust that they will be faithful to us. We just don't expect the person we promise to spend the rest of our lives with to stab us in the back. Let's face it, love makes us ignorant. If you're constantly looking over your shoulder expecting the apple of your eye to cheat on you, then your relationship sucks. Kick that bitch to the curb right now. Trust me, if you can't let your guard down around her, then you don't truly love her. I'm sure many of you are thinking, if my old lady was running after me, I'd know about it. When this happens to you, believe me, you will be as clueless as I was, but perhaps not as lucky. Anyway, the next day I showed up at school just in time to pick up Sasha. The only thing it took for me to pick her up was to pick up her jaw from the floor. The woman standing in front of Sasha's class was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. She was wearing jeans and a nice blouse. When I entered the room, she was standing with her back to me. When she turned to face me, I was mesmerized by her smile and the volume of red hair that cascaded down her shoulders. Her figure wasn't as good as my wife's, but who cared? I sat looking at her for a long time until I realized she was addressing me. They just didn't make teachers like this in my childhood. She was tall, at least for a woman. She had about 5 feet 8 inches in her and was much slimmer than Dana. Not that I was comparing them, but she was stunning. Yes, that's a good word for her. Stunning. Daddy, Sasha called out. This is Ms. Marshall speaking to you. Oh, I'm sorry, I stammered. I'm just brain dead. Sasha's father. Mr. McCain, Lucas McCain. But you can just call me Luke. I held out my hand and she shook it warmly and gave me another of her smiles. Damn it, she must sell those smiles. I apologize for calling you in so quickly, she said, smiling again. I'm new here, but the school takes parental involvement very seriously. Sasha is probably one of my brightest and friendliest students. She's also one of the most responsive. She had a soft southern accent that seemed to stretch each syllable into several parts. I could listen to this woman forever. I smiled at Sasha. I was proud of her. She smiled back and held out her hand. I greeted her and slapped her hand sharply. She looked at me like I had a weak mind. Daddy, when someone holds out their hand, you're supposed to put money in it, she whined. Anyway, Mrs. Marshall continued, Neither you nor your wife have participated in any of our projects or committees this year. Ms. Marshall, please call me Gianna, she said. Doesn't the PTA count? I asked. Yes, of course, she smiled. Are you in the PTA? Well, no, I said. But my wife is. She goes to all those meetings on Wednesdays. She's never missed one. Ms. Marshall's face changed before my eyes. Maybe I'm wrong, she said. But the PTA meets on Tuesdays and only on the third Tuesday of every month. My face went down too. I had to find out what was going on with Dana. Why don't you pick one of our committees or clubs to get involved in, she said. And if your wife ends up on the PTA, you'll be protected. She said all this with a great deal of sympathy in her voice. She seemed to understand what I was going through. I looked over the list of activities and settled on Trek. I think I could help with that, I said. I'm no expert, but I run every day and have completed several marathons. That would be perfect, she said. And they meet Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 o'clock. On the way home, Sasha and I stopped at McDonald's. It wasn't a very nutritious dinner, but she loves it and I wouldn't have to cook. I knew Dana had no chance of beating us, even though she got home from work before me. Some guys like to sit in their favorite chairs and reflect, while others like to take long walks. My favorite activity for reflection was washing my red Mustang GT. After rinsing the car, I began to put my thoughts on Dana's behavior in order. I knew that parent-teacher conferences were only held once a month, not every week. Dana had joined the PTA almost 2 months ago. That meant that everything she did about 6 or 8 times. While I was washing my car, I called my friend. Hey, Hop, I said into the phone. Hey, Luke, what's up? He asked. Shit, he laughed. Remember when you thought Tia was cheating on you? What was the name of the agency you used? Oh, God, don't remind me of that, he laughed. All I did was make a few lawyers and a few private investigators richer. Well, I told you she wasn't cheating on you, I said. She took classes at the community college because she thought you were embarrassed by her accent and lack of English. Yeah, I remember, he laughed. Anyway, the agency was called Ponderosa Investigations. They're in the book, and they're good. Thanks, Hop, I said, and hung up. I knew Hop Sing from back in the days when we played baseball. I called the information desk and they gave me the number for Ponderosa Investigations. I called them and was told they would be there in a few minutes since they were very close to my house. I was polishing my Hilo T's chrome rims when a car pulled up. I saw the man who got out of the car take out his sunglasses and put them on. Your chrome is so bright I thought I was going to go blind, he said. My father had a 1970 302 Boss, and he took as much care of it as you do this car. I nodded. I liked old Mustangs too. I'm Lucas McCain, I said, extending my hand. My friends call me Luke. I stood up and looked at him. Joseph Cartwright, he replied. His handshake was firm and I believed him. He didn't look like the usual tall private investigator. In fact, he was only 5 feet 4 inches tall. My friends call me Little Joe. I realized where the name came from. Why don't we go inside and talk, I said. On the way to the house, I explained my suspicions to him. He looked around the house and told me about the packages they had. He ended up installing a recording device on his phone. I gave him her cell phone number, and since I was paying the bill, he told me that they would be able to track those calls as well. He then installed several tiny cameras throughout the house. I had the choice of watching the camera footage myself or ordering a weekly or daily DVD. I chose the cheaper option, the weekly DVD. How much will it cost? I asked him. As much as you're willing to pay for peace of mind, he replied. That told me it was going to be very expensive. In the end, one way or another, you'll decide it was worth it, he smiled. Okay, explain to me what it is, I said. If she's not cheating, you'll be able to forget about all those nasty suspicions, he said. You'll be able to trust her again and work on making your marriage stronger. All the stress this has put on you will be over, and you'll be able to relax. He exhaled, letting it all out. I realized what he was getting at. On the other hand, if she cheats, you won't just find out about it. You'll have all the evidence you need to confront her or even divorce her if need be, he says. That way, no one can make a fool of you by telling you about a budding romance that lasted for years. You'll be able to move on with your life one way or another. We'll be in touch, he said, pulling away. I went back to polishing the car. About a half hour after he left, Dana came home. She was cheerful and came over to sit with me and watch me work. This was something new. Dana, I don't like anyone looking over my shoulder while I'm working, I said. You're not doing anything wrong. It's me. It's just getting on my nerves. Okay, honey. I'll see you when you get here, she said. After I came in from the car wash, Dana sat next to me while I watched TV. She was suddenly so damn friendly. I got up and went to take a shower. When I got out of the shower, she was still there. I sat down in the chair instead of on the couch. I'm going to bed, she said. Are you going to lie down? I'll be there soon. I just want to watch the news, I said. I pretended to fall asleep on the couch. When she came in, supposedly to wake me up and send me to bed, I just rolled over onto my back like I was deeply asleep. The next morning, I got up earlier than usual. I got ready for work and grabbed a cup of coffee. Dana and Sasha were just getting ready for the kitchen when I left. I kissed my daughter goodbye and Dana looked in the refrigerator. By the time she realized I was leaving, the door had already closed. In the morning, she called me at work. Hey, you left without saying goodbye to me this morning, she said. What did I do? What do you mean, Dana? I asked. We've been married for 14 years and together for 16. If we're not mad at each other, you kiss me goodbye every morning and tell me you love me. Sometimes you do that to melt the ice when we're mad at each other. I know it sounds silly to you, but it helps me start the day right. When I leave the house every morning, it makes me feel good to know that someone loves me. It makes me feel special. I'm sorry, Dana. I'll try to keep that in mind, I said. What happened to you last night? She asked. What do you mean, Dana? I asked. Well, I was excited, she said. I just brushed her off. I had the good sense not to say the first thing that came into my head. If I had said, I'm sure whoever you're having fun with will appreciate it, that would only let her know that I had her figured out. Since I didn't have proof yet, I didn't see the point in ruining what may not have been a problem. I was taking Hop Singh's lesson to heart. Oh, I wanted to remind you that I have, she began. I know you have a parent-teacher conference today, Dana, I said coldly. I'll talk to you later at work. I hung up the phone. Screw Hop Singh class, I thought, there's no way I'm letting this go on. Once I have proof, I want to act fast. I called Hop again. Hey Hop, who was the lawyer your aunt used for the divorce? I asked. I don't remember, he replied. I can give you the number of the guy I was going to use. Hell no, I snapped back. He was too friendly. I remember him going on and on about how all this sitting around and discussing was bullshit. He talked about being reasonable and sharing. All this crap about shared decision-making and maturity just blew my mind. I need that lawyer your aunt had who got your uncle off the hook. Okay, calm down, Luke. I'll call her right now and get the number. Are you even sure there's anything going on? He asked. Better to have her and not need her than to need her and not have her, I said. Okay, I'll call you back, he said, and hung up. In the next few minutes, I really got to work. I was processing orders from several customers and organizing the delivery of the items they needed overseas. When the phone rang, I picked up on the first ring. Her name is Ann Wilson, Hop said. She works for the Hart Agency. From what I hear, she's the meanest divorce attorney in the state. They call her the Barracuda. Are you sure you want to? Thanks, Hop, I said, and hung up. I called the information desk and got an ad for the Hart Agency. I asked the person who answered if I could speak to Ann Wilson. The phone rang again as my call was transferred. What do you need? The voice in the receiver was so loud and angry it scared me. I immediately started to hang up. There was so much rage and frustration in the question that I wondered what could have made someone like that work for the public. I'm looking for Ann Wilson, I said politely. I'm sorry, that's her, said an almost melodic female voice. I'm sorry, I thought you were my ex-husband. He's been calling me early in the morning lately just to mess with me. I found my lawyer. I was sure of it for two reasons. First, from the sound of her voice, I was sure this woman had balls scraping the ground when she walked. I knew she would take no prisoners, which was exactly what I wanted. Second, she was divorced, so I was sure she could understand the rage and pain that a hard breakup could cause. I'd like you to represent my interest in the divorce, I said. I'm sorry, but I don't think so, she replied. Lately, because of my reputation, I've been getting a lot of calls from men who want me to represent them so their wives won't hire me. In my opinion, if you cheated on her, you deserve what's coming to you. If you guys would just think about something with a brain in your head for once, the world would be a better place. Can you get off your soapbox and wait for me to explain this to you? I asked sharply. First of all, I've never cheated on my wife in all the time we've been together. She's the one cheating on me. And she's not only cheating on me, she's cheating on our beautiful little daughter. For months now, I've been feeling like a single dad, and I've finally found out why. I don't have any proof yet, but I have a private investigator working on it. I want to act quickly to get this sorted out over the summer and lessen the problems for my daughter. I'm sorry, she said. Her whole demeanor has changed. We made an appointment later that day to discuss the details and hung up. For the rest of the workday, I tried to focus on work, but I was constantly distracted. I kept trying to figure out what had gone wrong. For a few seconds, I kneaded my hands and thought about where I had let her down. Then I sobered up and started to figure out what kind of fool she had to be to cheat on me. Shortly before 3 in the afternoon, my phone rang. I answered it. A soft and sultry voice with a southern accent instantly brought back memories. I hope it's okay that I'm calling you, she said. I just wanted to remind you that our first little meeting is tomorrow afternoon. I was lost in that voice again. Okay, I said, go ahead and remind me. That made her laugh. Even her laugh was sweet and funny. The kids will get there around 5, she said. We should be there a little earlier. Wear something you can run around in. Tomorrow, we'll probably just do a slow, easy group jog. Bye. All my thoughts of Dana vanished. When Gianna said bye, the word meant so much more than just bye. There was a hint of playfulness in it, and even something like, I don't want to stop hanging out with you. It also made me wonder if she just meant bye. However, I was sure I was just imagining it. I picked Sasha up from school and we drove home. For a few hours, we played Little Big Planet together on our PlayStation 3. I made us grilled steaks and a small salad. After dinner, Sasha went to her room to do her homework and talk to one of her friends. I, on the other hand, headed to the computer to look up new parts for my Mustang on some of my favorite parts sites. After convincing myself that my car really needed a chin spoiler, I went back to the PS3 and started watching the Blu-ray disc of Iron Man 2. I turned the volume up enough that I didn't hear Dana when she walked in. She wrapped her arms around me and tried to kiss me. I stood up quickly, as if she had startled me, and moved away from her. That will serve you well, she laughed. You know you shouldn't turn the surround sound up that loud. How will Sasha sleep? Sorry, I said, turning away from the TV. Wait a minute, she said. What's that delicious smell? Were you grilling something? Just steaks for Sasha and me, I replied. We didn't think you'd want to eat when you got here. Usually after meetings, you shower right away and relax. She had a hard time meeting my gaze, so she just nodded and left for the bedroom. I couldn't figure out if I was giving up something or if she was just feeling guilty. And I didn't care. I just wanted to get it over with. I thought about all the financial and other documents Ann Wilson wanted me to provide by our next meeting to quickly finalize the divorce. I required income and tax returns from both of us, as well as a list of assets and their value. She also asked me to list all of our responsibilities for Sasha and who was handling them. Since our state is a community property state, it was clear that any property settlement would likely be 50-50. I liked the idea that we would just walk away from each other. She would get hers and I would get mine. Since I was making more money, I was hoping the judge would rule that child support balanced out the child support. I would keep my daughter and Dana would get free visitation. She would not have to pay child support and I would not have to pay child support. Since the house we live in belongs to my parents, there is no way she would have gotten it. However, we would have to share furniture and everything else. Again, I just wanted this to be over so I could move on with my life. Are you going to bed? She asked after a while. Maybe later, I replied. Luke, what's going on? She asked. For the last 2 days, you've been avoiding me. I want to know why. Did I do something to upset you? Dana, for the past 2 months, you've been distant and acting strange towards Sasha and me. Do you want to tell us why? What's up with your mood swings? We never know what Dana will be like when she comes home. Maybe we're just trying to give you some space to get your head out of your ass. I wasn't going to start this, but it came out on its own. I stood up and grabbed my car keys before I said something I later regretted. "Where are you going?" she asked. It looked like she was about to cry. "I'm going for a ride to calm down before things get out of hand," I said. "Do you want me to ride with you?" she asked. "Maybe we could talk." "No, there's no point in waking Sasha up because we won't be able to find common ground," I said. "Or were you planning on leaving our daughter alone in the house while we were gone? Maybe you just forgot about her because I usually take care of her." Dana started to cry. She reached for me, and I pulled away from her. "Luke, I love you, and I love Sasha too. You know that." "You have a funny way of showing it," I growled, closing the door. There's a magic of its own behind the wheel of my Mustang at night. The faces of the people on the street as I drove past them were amusing to watch. They heard the car's engine a little before they saw it. They looked at me long after I passed them. As I drove, I wondered what was going through Dana's mind. She had a husband and daughter who worshipped the ground she walked on. Why should she risk it all to have fun with some other guy? Our sex life up until 2 days ago wasn't bad even after 14 years. I wasn't huge either, but my size was above average. I just couldn't figure out what was wrong. Maybe she was bored with what we were doing. Maybe I was just acting like a guy. Maybe it wasn't just about sex. I think guys have always assumed that if someone cheats, it's only because of sex. Maybe I did or didn't do something in a completely different area. But it has to be more than just sex or me because she treated Sasha differently too? I drove and wasted gas for about an hour before heading home. When I got home, all the lights were out and I figured Dana was asleep. I took a quick shower and climbed into bed. I intended to stay as far away from her as possible, at least until I could find out if she was really cheating on me. During the trip, I was very productive. I came up with at least 5 or 6 reasons for her flighty behavior. She probably had a secret gambling addiction. One of the women, who was friends with my mom, went through this. She would sneak out of the house and go to the casino at least once or twice a week for several years before her husband found out. He never would have known about it if she hadn't messed up her affairs and started making mortgage payments. When she missed the 3rd payment and the mortgage company called him at work, all hell broke loose. But in the end, they helped her out and stayed together. Another possibility was that Dana was addicted to some kind of substance. Almost immediately after my head hit the pillow, she snuggled up to me. "I'm so sorry," she said. "I've been stressed out at work lately. I guess I didn't realize it until you told me. Is there anything I can do to make you forgive me?" "Treat Sasha better," I snapped back. "Well, right now I was thinking of something more personal," she said, stroking my stomach with her hands. When her fingers came close to my pubes, I grabbed her hand and yanked it away. "What's wrong?" she asked. I could tell she was in shock. In 14 years, I'd never been in this mood. "I need to get some sleep," I said. "I have a big day tomorrow, so I'm going to need all my strength." Then I rolled over and moved farther away from her. "But," she started. "Good night, Dana," I said. The next morning, I felt great for some reason. I went through the files in our home office and made copies of all the tax documents Ann Wilson had requested. In a few hours, Barracuda would have all the information needed for my divorce. All that remained was to find the proof. I really hoped little Joe had something for me. Over the years, I had heard a few phrases from married and divorced couples that I guessed I had always believed to be true. One of them was the old chestnut about how love can't be turned off like a light switch unless you've never truly loved someone. Now I truly believe that's not true. I think it all depends on the situation and the people involved. In my case, up until 3 days ago, I loved Dana with all my heart and soul. She is the mother of my daughter, and I really thought and hoped we would grow old together. But the realization that she had betrayed me changed the way I felt about her. If she had cheated on me, we could still grow old, but not together. The second old tale said that a husband never knows when his wife is cheating. Guys are always painted as clueless. Unless the poor guy came home early and discovered the proverbial strange car in the driveway, he never found out. Sometimes the wife would come up with a clever lie and convince the guy that nothing was going on. Usually, the only way for the husband to find out was to catch them in the act. None of these scenarios worked for me. I needed to cut Dana out of my life, but for now, that wasn't possible. She was Sasha's mother. For at least the next 8 years, we'd be dealing with custody issues. Then we'd both probably have to attend graduations and her wedding. Then the kids will be born. Hopefully in a few years, I'll find someone else and be done with her cheating. Maybe I'll stop getting goosebumps at the sight of her too. At lunchtime, I faxed copies of the documents to Anne's office so she could do the paperwork. After lunch, I felt the day dragging on. I kept remembering how much I loved Dana when we first started dating. I needed to pull myself together. My mood swings were just as bad as hers. I alternately hated her to the core and wished she didn't so we could stay together. I thought about marriage counseling. I thought about trying to forgive her and get over it. These thoughts lasted for about a picosecond. There was no way I could forgive her if this was true. I also thought about the fact that it was my fault as well. After all, I fantasized about other women from time to time. All week, I had even mentally crushed on Dana's new teacher. But there was a difference between thinking about someone in favorable terms and actually having fun with someone outside of marriage. Most guys look at hot women all the time and think about it. But when you actually do something, the line has already been crossed. Dana called me at work, but I didn't take her call. She called my cell phone, but I didn't answer either. She left me a message telling me how much she loved me and how we needed to talk. I deleted it after listening to it. I picked Sasha up from school at the usual time. She was excited about something, but I couldn't remember what was supposed to happen that day. "Daddy, are we going to eat first or go straight to the park?" Sasha asked. "Who said we're going to the park today?" I asked. "Oh no," she said. "You forgot, didn't you? You were supposed to be helping the track and field club today." We drove home, and I changed into my tracksuit. I figured the volunteers and coaches would be dressed the same way. I was about to leave when Sasha told me to grab my iPad. I pulled it out and held it out to her. "Thanks, Daddy," she said. That way I'll have something to do while you watch people run around." When we got to the park, I looked around to see where all the kids were. The park was shaped like a bowl. The parking lot was at the top, and to get to the trails and other activities the park offered, you had to walk downhill. As I walked past the unused tennis courts, I saw a group of familiar faces and a few parents. I saw a couple of kids that Sasha sometimes interacted with, and their mothers or fathers. I walked over and joined the group. After a few minutes, I looked back up the hill and saw an SUV pull into the parking lot next to my Mustang. Gianna got out of it and was talking to Sasha. As she walked down the hill, I noticed she was wearing a tracksuit too. I think every dad gave a friendly sigh when she walked up and introduced herself. One guy, who seconds before had been talking about how excited he would be when the teacher arrived and could leave, sat down to watch. Inwardly, I laughed until I fell over. Apparently, it had the same effect on them as it did on me. Wait until they heard that voice and her accent. Gianna gathered all the kids and introduced me as her assistant or co-trainer. She explained that this is just a cross-country running club, not an official team. For now, we would get together to run twice a week. But she told them that she expects them to run on their own as well. If things work out well, there will be tryouts for the cross-country team in the fall, and we will compete against other elementary schools. She told parents they could stay or come back in an hour to pick up their children. Most of them left before she got ready for the run. When she took off her gym pants and stood in shorts, all the men decided to stay. We gathered all the kids, and after a short warm-up, we went for a slow group jog along the trails. I took a position behind the group in case anyone got injured or couldn't keep up with the very slow pace we were running at. After a while, it became clear that all the kids were capable of running faster than we were that day. Even the fat kids were ahead of me. On the second lap, Gianna slowly came back to me. "Hi," she said, smiling. "Are you okay?" I nodded my head. "That bad?" she asked. "I thought about it, and I guess I wanted to apologize to you." "What do you need to apologize for?" I asked. "Well, I went over our conversation a few times in my head. I guess I was a little insensitive," she said. "How did you know I was stupid enough to believe that my wife was on the PTA and never checked the meeting dates?" I asked. "It's not stupidity," she said. "It's called trust. It's a good thing. It's the sign of a good person." "If I'm a good person, why do I feel so bad?" I asked her. "At first, I was in a lot of pain," she said. "But then after a while, it got worse." I smiled at her facial expression and tone. Some of the kids even noticed the sour note in her voice. "It sounds like you've been there," I said. "But I find that so hard to believe." "Because I'm beautiful," she laughed. Her laugh was completely silly. It started as a giggle and ended with a snort. My ex was so jealous of every man who even looked at me obliquely that I couldn't go anywhere or do anything. I really wish I had a man by my side who would give me the simple gift you give your wife. Trust. It really does mean a lot. If you don't trust someone, how can you believe you love them? On the other hand, even if he didn't trust me as far as he could throw my car, he was the one who slept with me. My mouth dropped open. He was an explorer. So after he conquered me, he needed to seek out new conquests to keep from getting bored. He fought for a divorce until the last minute, but eventually it was over, and I moved on with my life. That was 3 years ago, and now I'm just at the point where I can tolerate men around me. Then I'll try my best not to act like a man, I said. Damn men, I hate them all. I don't hate men, she smiled. It's just that I've been through a lot of bitterness and self-pity. Where I come from, if you can't make your man happy, you're just not much of a woman. Huh? You're very much a woman, I muttered. The whole time we ran together, I couldn't take my eyes off her ass. Her legs seemed incredibly long and sensual, too. Noticed, huh? She smiled. Her smile told me a lot of things. For one thing, she definitely interested me on some level. She was also letting me know that she knew the effect she had on men and didn't mind bragging about it and flirting a little. After the second lap, we took the kids back to the clearing where the race began. We had them do some stretching exercises, told them how great they had performed, and sent them home with their parents. Several parents came up to us to ask questions. Most of them wanted to know how I became her assistant and if there were still openings. As we were walking back to the parking lot after the last child left, Sasha jumped out of the car. Daddy, can we go to Pizza Hut? She asked. I guess so, I smiled. Good, she said. It's Ms. Marshall's favorite restaurant. So, Miss Marshall, since it's your favorite restaurant? I hinted. Well, Mr. McCain, I'd love to join you, but why don't we do it in 45 minutes? That way the two of us can shower and change. You have to be comfortable to eat pizza, she laughed. Okay, I'll see you later, Sasha said. Come on, Dad. You need to take a shower. 45 minutes later, Sasha and I got out of the Mustang in front of the only Pizza Hut in town. We walked inside and took a table. We were studying the menu when Gianna appeared and all the guys in the place turned to look at her. She smiled at me and I could feel it all over the room. I could also feel the stares of all the guys present. It made me think about what it would be like to be in a relationship with someone like that. How would you deal with all the guys hitting on her all the time? I did the gentlemanly thing and pulled out a chair for her from across the table. We had a great time and ate a lot of pizza. Sasha spent some time playing video games, so Gianna and I had time to talk. It was a magical night. Gianna asked me how things were going in my marriage, and I told her about it. She shook her head and said it was going to get much worse before it got better. Wait until you're in a lawyer's office arguing over a coffee table that neither of you want, she said. You'll get to the point where you don't want to give that man a single thing more than he's already taken from you. I'm sorry, but this must be a terrible first date for you, she smiled. This is a date? I asked. I wasn't sure I was ready for a date yet. What if I found out that Dana wasn't cheating on me? What if it was just a gamble? Then I'd turn out to be a cheater, wouldn't I? I knew I should say something to her about it, but damn it, I didn't. I just let the night pass the way it did. Sasha was so tired from playing video games and hanging out with the kids at Pizza Hut that I had to carry her into the house and put her to bed. We took a much longer walk than I had planned, mostly because Gianna was so easy to talk to. She was like a wind-up toy. All you had to do was wind her up and watch her work, and she would tell you anything you wanted to know about anything. I got into bed and tried not to wake Dana, but she rolled over and hugged me as soon as I was in the bed. Where did you guys go? She asked. To Pizza Hut, I replied. I wondered why your iPad wasn't on the table. Sasha was playing with her friends and eating pizza while you were on the internet looking for car parts, right? You're a good dad, honey. And you're a great husband. I'm sorry for the way I acted, she said. I love you, Luke. Can we start having sex already? She walked over to the bed, determined to give me a few carefree seconds of bastardization. There was no way I was going to entertain her until I found out if she was cheating on me or not. Not so good today, I said, leaving her even more shocked than the night before. I think I have a cold and I don't want to pass it on to you. I wished I could read Dana's mind as she sat there looking at me. Did she really think I knew what was going on, or did she think I was still stupid? I left quickly again the next morning, waking Sasha up and asking her not to tell her mom about the night before. She barely talks to me anyway, Daddy, so why should this morning be any different? Sasha said. A couple hours later, I was sitting at my desk, deep in thought as usual, when a package was delivered to me via messenger. I signed for it and opened it. The envelope contained 2 floppy disks and a stack of papers. I inserted one floppy disk into the computer and started it up. There were 4 files on the disk. I started the one with the previous Wednesday's date on it. It showed Dana walking into a cheap motel with a very tall guy. I could barely make out who he was. Then in the room, I saw them getting close. It was Chuck Connors, the guy she worked with. I watched long enough to make sure they weren't playing cards. Then I turned off the disc. I think some guys might want to watch it in its entirety. Even sicker guys will probably want to watch it a few times and maybe even jerk off to it. And I just felt like throwing up. Gianna was right, of course. As bad as it was to think about her cheating on me, it was much worse to see it. Especially when I saw some of the things she'd let him do to her that she'd never let me think about. I made a copy of the DVD to send to Anne. Then I copied a disc of the phone records and sent a copy of both discs, along with documents detailing who Chuck Connors was, when they met, and other information. I called Ponderosa Investigations and thanked them for a job well done. I also declined their services as I no longer needed them and they were expensive. A few hours later, I received a call from Anne. She informed me that everything was ready. The paperwork was ready. All she needed was Chuck's name so I could sue him as well. In our state, you couldn't sue for alienation of affection or anything like that. I sued him for mental anguish over the stress he helped my daughter, and I go through because of his affair with Dana. Anne told me that there was a very real possibility that we wouldn't get a dime from Chuck. We sued him to let his wife and family know what he had done and basically ruined his life. If we had sued the company they worked for, they both probably would have been fired. And since the lawsuit against him was in the public domain, anyone who decided to hire him in the future and did a background check could have stumbled upon it. It was a nice touch. Anne was clearly worth every dime she charged me. She also explained to me that, unlike what was on TV, we weren't going to use all of our ammunition together. That would have been stupid. First, we filed for divorce, after the settlement agreement was signed and approved by a judge. Then we sued Chuck and Company. That way, by the time the judge approved, Dana would already have her own income and the settlement agreement would be relatively fair. Then, after the judge approved it, we sued Chuck and Company. Since Dana would have lost her job after the settlement was approved, we would not have been at fault for leaving her destitute. Anne also told me that I should listen to the audio conversations on the second disc, if I hadn't already, because Dana was thinking about ending the relationship between her and Chuck. Anne asked if there was a difference for me, and I said no. I told her that I needed a day or two to decide how and when I wanted to hand over the papers. She decided that we should do it at Dana's work. The embarrassment and humiliation she would experience if she did it there was excellent. Besides, it would send a signal to the upper management of the company that trouble was brewing. I hung up the phone, and although I guessed I should be happy, a smile was the furthest thing from my mind. I don't know how I made it through the whole weekend. On Saturday, I took Sasha and a couple of her friends to the zoo. Sunday, I washed and polished the car again. On Monday, I couldn't sit through another day of work, so I called in sick and took my Mustang to the shop to have the chin spoiler installed. The instructions said it was easy and anyone could do it, but I didn't want to risk my condition and ruin the car. While I waited for the technicians to install the spoiler, I called Anne and told her that Dana could be serviced on Wednesday. As soon as I hung up, the phone rang again. Dana's number popped up on the caller ID. "Why aren't you at work?" She asked. "I'm still not feeling well, so I decided to work on the car for a while," I replied. "Why didn't you at least tell me so I'd know where you were and not look stupid calling your office?" She asked. "We're supposed to be married, you know that." "Sometimes I can't tell," I said slowly. "Luke, you know I love you," she said. "And I know it was my fault that this happened, but I don't know how to fix it without making it worse. Can't we just promise each other to never let work stress get in the way of our family again?" "Okay, Dana," No more stress at home, I said. Me neither, she said. Never again, I promise. What a load of crap, I said, hanging up the phone. I couldn't believe she thought like I'd fall for that work stress bullshit. She really does think I'm stupid. The phone rang again. I was about to tell Dana what I thought since I was so angry with her, but it wasn't her. Why aren't you at work? Gianna asked. Hearing her voice made me feel better. I'm depressed, I replied. I explained everything to her and told her where I was. Okay, that's not why I called, she said sharply. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to drive you to despair by telling you about my ruined life, I said. You're not making fun of me, she said, and I'm willing to listen to anything you want to talk about. I'm just afraid that if we start telling each other our problems all the time, we'll become friends. Oh, I said, suddenly feeling worse. I thought we were already friends. Oh, hell no, she snapped suddenly. Put that thought out of your head immediately. Well, I'm going to let you go, I said sadly. I don't want to waste your time. I called you, Luke, she reminded me. I wanted to ask you about our second date. What second date? I asked. I thought that, Luke, you never want to be friends with a girl, and I don't want you to think of me as your friend, she said seriously. When I got divorced, I had a lot of friends. Most of them were women, but there were a few guys too. A lot of my girlfriends called me to help me get through the divorce better. I even got calls from guys. The problem is that once you get into the friend zone, it's very hard to change your status. I never once thought about having fun with any of the guys I considered friends. I don't want you to think of me as a friend. Okay, I'm confused, I said. What? Don't worry about it, she smiled. I'll figure it out. You're still in shock? I'm just trying to make it so that in a few weeks, when you're really ready to move on, I'll be first in line. What line? I asked. Oh, you work for a relatively large company, right? She asked. I answered in the affirmative. That means that when the news of your divorce gets out, there will be a lot of women after you. And they will all be standing behind my back, she smirked. Gianna, if you stand in line, there will be no line, I said. I'm not stupid enough to let you go. Oh, flattery at last. Now that I know you're interested, let's talk about a second date, she said. I'm torn, you know. Torn about what? I asked. I was still totally confused. No wonder women think like we don't understand everything. Well, a second date is a little early for a romantic cross-dressing date, but it's perfect for another fun date to get to know each other better. The big question is, should I bring Sasha along? AC, she asked. Because I know she likes me, but we're supposed to have our first goodnight kiss after our second date, and I'm not sure she likes me that much. Seeing some woman press her lips against your father's can be uncomfortable. You're going to press your lips against mine? I wheezed. The tightness in my pants made me glad I was alone in the office. Definitely, she laughed. After all, we have to follow protocol. It was all I could do not to kiss you at Pizza Hut. And when is that going to happen? I asked. This woman had a knack for making me forget about everything else going on in my life except her. The sooner the better, she said. How about tomorrow after practice? I'll make a picnic lunch. And the four of us can have a picnic right in the park when everyone goes home. We can even roast marshmallows. What foursome are you talking about? I asked. You, me, Sasha, and her best friend Beth, she smirked. That way Sasha will have someone to chat with while we talk. Okay, I said, hoping my head would stop spinning. I'll see you later, bye, she said. That bye emphasized the nasality of her voice and accent. If all country girls were like her, I wondered why everyone left the South in the first place. Picking Sasha up from school, I looked around the parking lot but didn't see Gianna's Jeep. She's not here, Dad, Sasha laughed. She had to go shopping, and you and I know why. I looked at Sasha. She was smiling. I guess she was okay. When we got home, Dana was in the kitchen making dinner. Sasha and I looked at her like she was an alien. Why are you looking at me like that? She asked. We didn't know you could cook, replied Sasha. And why are you home? I asked. I just decided not to work overtime today, Dana smiled. I just wanted to spend some time with my family. When are they coming? Sasha asked. I'm busy today. I have a lot of homework to do. I'm going to take some pictures of the car with the new chin spoiler and maybe take it out on the roads around the airport where there isn't a lot of traffic and try it out, I said. Sasha walked to the kitchen and grabbed a couple slices of the pizza we brought in the other day. She heated them up in the microwave while Dana watched her. "See you later, Dad," Sasha said and retired to her room. I was left standing there alone with Dana. "I've been thinking," she said, smiling at me. "What do you think about having another baby?" It was one of the hardest things I'd ever done, but I managed to keep a straight face. I didn't laugh in her face. I didn't throw up or vomit. "Now I'm going to get my camera and take pictures," I said. "What about my idea?" she whined. I wanted to start working on it as soon as possible. "I'll think about it," I said, and headed for the exit of the house. I took about 50 pictures of the car from different angles with my digital camera. I had shots of the car in all stages of its development, from stock condition to the present. I hated to leave my daughter alone with Dana, but I really needed to get out of there. As I drove down the road, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. There were only two reasons for Dana's sudden infatuation. Either she was really trying to save our marriage, or she was trying to dump more of her crap on me. If she was really trying to save our marriage, shouldn't I have at least given her a chance to try? Then there was the sudden urge to get pregnant again. Was this really another tactic to save our marriage? Did she somehow suspect that I knew about her affair and thought that getting pregnant again would keep me from cheating? Or was there something even more sinister behind it? Maybe she was already pregnant with his child and was trying to get me to entertain her so she could then claim the baby was mine. That was another reason I wasn't going to have sex with her. Then, of course, came the guilt. Was I suddenly so determined to cut her out of my life because she had hurt me and broken our marriage vows? Or because I had someone better? Since we were still married, wasn't I just as bad as she was? Of course, I started dating before I even filed for divorce. I didn't initiate anything, but I kept doing it anyway. I think it's all about timing. Dana had been cheating on me for over a month. In my opinion, the moment she spread her legs in front of Chuck Connors, our marriage was over. So, at least for me, I had every right to seek happiness elsewhere. As for children, if Dana was pregnant, we would have a DNA test. If it had been my child, I would have paid child support and been involved in his life, but with Dana, it was over. After what she had done, there was no turning back. I drove around town a lot longer than I needed to. I enjoyed sitting in the car, but eventually I had to get home. Naturally, Dana was still awake. "Ready, Daddy?" she asked. "No," I answered honestly. "Dana, our problems are much more serious than you realize. The fact that you treated me and Sasha like crap for almost 2 months and then decided it was okay is not okay with me. I don't see how having another baby is going to improve an already shitty situation." She looked genuinely hurt. "But Luke, I love you," she said. "I love you too, Dana," I said, and said seriously, "but I don't think it can be fixed overnight." She looked really hurt. "Don't worry, Dana," I said. "It doesn't mean you're already pregnant. We haven't had sex in weeks, so don't worry about it." "That's probably why I'm so horny," she said. "I miss you." She put her arm around me and ran her hand over my crotch. "Dana, that's not going to happen. Now get away from me," I snapped at her. I retreated to the bedroom and left her there crying. The next morning, all the tension in me was gone. Dana was still in the living room. She looked awful. I took a shower, got dressed, and went to work. After work, I changed at the office, picked up Sasha, and drove to practice. There, as usual, the kids and parents were gathered there. I noticed a few women looking at me. Some of them were married, but they were still looking. Could there be something in this cursed water? Married women courting strange men seemed to be an epidemic. "Hey you," Gianna said. "Remember, I'm first in line." She ran her hands around my waist in a friendly but intimate manner. There was nothing inappropriate about it. It wasn't even a hug, but it was familiar enough that the women present realized she was claiming me. We did the same group run as last time, but increased the pace a bit, to the point where all the kids could keep it up, but some were uncomfortable. Those who could easily keep up the pace will most likely become members of our track and field team. The rest will stay with the club until they are ready to move on to a higher level. After practice, most of the boys were tired and couldn't wait to get into their parents' waiting cars. Of course, most of the dads wanted to stay and care for Gianna as long as possible, but in the end, it was just the two of us and Beth. Beth's mom didn't pick her up. She spent the night with Sasha. We reached our cars and drove to the picnic area. Sasha and Beth sat on a bench playing games and watching videos on my iPad while Gianna and I set the table. Then, the magic began. We spread out a blanket and sat down on it. For a long time, we just stared at each other. There was a look in her eyes that I had never seen in Dana's before. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe longing mixed with despair and a dash of hope. And it was all directed at me. "It's too soon," she said. Then she nodded her head toward the girls. "But don't get distracted. We talked about our lives and what we wanted out of them. We talked about dreams and why some things were non-negotiable. Among them were faithfulness, honesty, and trust. I asked her why no man in his right mind would cheat on her. And she told me that most of the guys she dated only saw her for her looks. Once they got used to her looks, she became just another woman to them. And there was always someone prettier. So what she was really looking for was a man who would love her for her soul, not her looks. She loved her job very much, but really her heart was set on a simple matter. She just wanted to be someone's wife and mother. We also talked about what I wanted. It turned out that my needs were remarkably similar. Several times, the girls came over for a snack and ended up just sitting on the blanket with us. "Daddy, is Ms. Marshall your girlfriend now?" Sasha asked. Sasha asked. Sasha asked. Sasha asked. "I think so," Beth replied. "But maybe they're just friends because they don't kiss. My mom has 3 boyfriends and they all kiss her all the time." "Well, I guess we should go home," I said. "I'll see you at practice on Thursday," Gianna said, getting up. I said, "You should follow me home. It's time to move on." "Doing what exactly?" she asked. "Divorce and the rest of my life," I smiled. We loaded the kids into Gianna's Jeep and drove to my house. On the way, I called Chuck. He was on his way home, which meant Dana had to be on his way as well. "Chuck, this is Lucas McCain," I said cheerfully. "Do I know you?" he asked. I could hear the tension in his voice. I was sure the asshole knew who I was. "We don't need to play games, Chuck," I said. "You've been entertaining my wife Dana for about 2 months now, so we should be old friends considering what we had." "It was her idea," he said quickly. His voice turned into a whimper. "Chuck, I don't care whose idea it was. I just think it's time for us adults to sit down and discuss our options. So, unless you want me to visit your wife and discuss all this with her, you'd better come over to my house right now. I'll be home in about 10 minutes. If the drive takes you longer than 15 minutes, I'll visit you at home." Dana got home before we did. I saw her car as we pulled up. As soon as Gianna's Jeep stopped moving, the 2 girls got out of it and ran toward the house. I stayed behind to talk to Gianna. "This should be interesting," I told her. "Luke, don't do anything crazy," she said. She climbed onto the hood of my car and pulled me to her. "Trust me," I said. "I'm not planning anything stupid. I have nothing against Chuck. He's not the one who betrayed me. Dana is. And all I want from her is a divorce so I can move on with my life. That should go very easily." "Well, you're forgetting something," she said. Then she leaned over and kissed me. For one very long moment, the world stopped spinning. Time stopped, and everything around me ceased to matter. The only thing that broke the spell was the scream of Dana running toward us from the house. "What are you doing?" Dana shouted. "Carrying on," I replied cheerfully. "Continuing what?" Dana hissed. I raised my hand to warn her. "Oh good, Chuck's here," I said as he pulled into our driveway. Chuck got out of the car and almost stumbled as he looked at Gianna. He couldn't take his eyes off her. I gave her another hug and she got in the car and pulled out of the driveway. "My God, what a beautiful woman," Chuck said. Dana just sat there, growing paler by the second. "What are you doing here, Chuck?" She snapped back. "Did I forget something at the office?" "I invited Chuck over to my place," I said. "Let's go inside. We can talk quietly there." We entered the house and ended up in my living room. "Who was that woman?" Chuck asked as soon as he sat down. My plan to remain calm and reasonable suddenly went out the window. Chuck was 3 inches taller than me and weighed about 20 pounds, but it didn't matter. I hit him as hard as I could. His nose flared and he fell backward with such force that he knocked over a chair. He stood up, felt his nose, saw the blood, and stared at me. He tried to get up, but I kicked him in the chest and he fell back down again. "Why did you hit me?" he shouted. "Because I called you here so we could talk," I hissed. "You're a real piece of shit, Chuck. You're already married and you're still trying to entertain other people's wives." You've already ruined my marriage to Dana, but no sooner have we talked about it, and you're already sniffing around about being interested in Gianna. I glared at him, and he backed away. You wanted Dana, you got her. But Gianna is off limits. If you ever look at her again, I swear I'll kill you. She has a lot more common sense than Dana, but just the thought of you looking at her pisses me off, I said. Chuck, I have nothing against you. You're not the one who betrayed me. My wife is. If I should be mad at anyone, it's her. But I'm not mad at anyone. In fact, I'm happy. Dana is yours. Take her and live happily ever after. Are you kidding? He said. I don't need Dana. I already have a wife, and she's better looking. It was just sex, and not even good sex. Trust me, if she wasn't so easy to get, I wouldn't have bothered. You're an asshole, Dana shouted. I don't want you either. That's why I broke up with you the other day. I was starting to think Luke knew something, and you weren't worth my marriage. Then why did you call me today, you old whore? Chuck growled. Because Luke hasn't slept with me in over a week, she replied. You guys can work that out when you get back to Chuck's or wherever it is you're going, I said. What are you talking about, Luke? Dana asked. Fear was suddenly replaced by anger in her voice. I already told you that you two have been continuing your relationship for over a month now. Whatever they are, they don't have to end. I hope you two will be very happy together. I really do think so. If all three of us take on packing her stuff, you can be out of here in 20 minutes. Or you can just pack some of her stuff and come back tomorrow for the rest while I'm at work, I said. They both looked at me like I had three heads. Confusion was written all over their faces, and it was hard to make out anything on Chuck's face, since his nose and cheeks were swollen. I'm not taking her anywhere, he said. Oh, yes, you are, Chuck, I said. I don't care where you take her, but she's yours now. You can move her to your wife and kid, or pay for her motel room, or buy her an apartment. But if you don't want to lose your marriage today, you have to do something. Luke, Dana said slowly, I swear to you that I love only you. Chuck was just a mistake. It was never about love. He just caught me when I was feeling old and vulnerable. He really flattered me and made me feel better. You know how self-conscious I've always been about my height and figure. I saw tears streaming down her cheeks. Please give me another chance. I know it was a terrible thing to do, but women need to know that they are attractive and that they are still capable of turning a man on. Dana, have I ever done anything to make you feel unattractive? I always told you I wanted us to grow old together. You and I had more than just looks and sex. I really loved you. You didn't just cheat on me. You cheated on our daughter. All of our memories, the vows we made to each other, and all of our dreams for the future. You treated us like crap for the last 2 months, but now it's over, I said calmly. What about that girl you just kissed? You're doing the same thing, she snorted. No, Dana, it's different, I said. That was the first time I kissed her. We hadn't had sex yet, and I only met her because of your lies. What lie? Dana asked. Gianna is Sasha's teacher, I said. If you had actually gone to parent-teacher conferences for the past 2 months, I never would have met her. Here's how it's going to work, I said. Tomorrow my lawyer will serve you with divorce papers. She's prepared 2 sets. Which one we file is your choice, Dana. Either you sign the nicer ones that list irreconcilable differences as the reason for divorce, or we go the hard way. As for the paperwork, we'll split all the accounts 50-50. The house will stay with me as it belongs to my parents and you can't take it anyway. We have joint custody of Sasha. She will live with me and you will visit her as often as you want. Luke, I don't want a divorce, please, she begged. I'm willing to do anything. I just want another chance. You can have fun with this girl a few times to get your revenge, and then we'll just move in together and forget about it. You and Chuck just had sex, right? I asked. They both nodded quickly. Well, it's more complicated with Gianna, I said. As soon as I'm free of you, I'm marrying her. Why don't you two discuss it after I leave? Chuck said. Because she's going with you, Chuck, I snapped back. Either you take her with you or your marriage will be broken up before you even get home. I know you're hurting, Luke, Dana said. I'm going to stay at Mom's for a few days until you calm down and then we can talk. Dana, you're a grown woman. Do whatever you want as long as it involves getting out of here, I said. I then headed to the kitchen to get something to drink. The next few weeks were interesting. I focused on spoiling my daughter and getting to know Gianna better. We did various things together, but we didn't have sex. We saved that for our wedding night. Dana called me at work and home several times a day. I didn't answer any of her calls or return any of her calls, but I let her take Sasha whenever she wanted. I didn't want to stop her from spending time with our daughter. Her mother and father also called me to see if I could take her back. They told me it was a crime to break up a family over one stupid mistake that Dana would regret for the rest of her life. Dana has the right to raise her daughter and live a happy life. I told them that I have a right to a happy life too, and I can't be happy with a woman who cheated on me, especially not with one who did it for over a month and was probably pregnant with someone else's child. Dana went to Gianna at school and begged her to let us try again. Incredibly, they sat down and talked about it. Gianna told her about how her first marriage had broken up and what it was like to do your best for someone and they cheat on you for no reason. I think that gave Dana an idea of what I was going through. I think what hurt Dana the most was when she came to the house to talk to me and saw Gianna and I sitting together on our long porch swing. Gianna was sitting and outlining her papers, and I was dozing off with my head in her lap. Sasha sat on the front step with her phone glued to her head, chatting animatedly, as all teenagers do, about some TV show. We looked like a family that loves each other and is very comfortable being together. And then it came to me what she had thrown away. She started crying looking at us. I was asleep, so I didn't see it, but I was woken up by Gianna, who kissed me and pointed to Dana's back. "Talk to her," Gianna said. I got up and caught Dana before she got into the car. "Dana, did you need to see me for something?" I asked. I tried really hard, but I was having a hard time pretending to care. "Why haven't you sent the papers back yet?" "I guess I came to talk to you about us," she snorted. "You know, you're doing everything wrong." "What am I doing wrong?" I asked, puzzled by her statement. "I talked to a few of my friends who are divorced," she said. "You're supposed to be mad at me and fighting over me. Then we were supposed to argue about everything, including custody of Sasha. Then you were supposed to move out and live in a shitty little apartment. You were supposed to be miserable and alone. And then we had to work on getting back together with the clear realization that I love you, but you're not enough for me. So every now and then, I'll have a lover, and you won't know about it or pretend you don't know because you don't want us to go through the pain of almost losing each other again. Maybe you'll have a lover too, but it has to be just sex." Now she was crying. "Chuck was just sexy, Luke. He wasn't as good as you. I guess I just wanted someone to make me feel gross and just entertain me like when I was young. I was tired of feeling old. For a while, I had it all. I had enough of the rudeness and cruelty. Then, in the last few weeks, you stopped sleeping with me and I noticed it and started to get annoyed," she said. "I knew it was wrong and stopped it, but you had already stopped having sex with me and I got desperate. So I called the asshole again. When I saw you come home with Gianna that first time, I was furious. Then when I calmed down, I realized that maybe it could be good for me. I thought that if you had sex with her, then when it was over, we'd be even and I could get you back," she said. "I visited her at school last week and talked to her about it. And she told me a lot of interesting things not only about you guys, but about herself. That's when I realized that I was really in danger, that it wasn't an act. She really loves you probably as much as I do. She will never give up on you. So I decided that my only hope was to turn to you. We have been together for 16 years and married for 14 of those years. We have a child together, and until the last 2 months we have been happy. That has to mean something. I'm not going to give up without a fight. Then I came to talk to you about it today and see if we could work something out. I wanted you to give up on the divorce. In exchange for that, I would have given you 2 months with her and then we would have rebuilt our marriage and our family. But now I realize you'll never go for that. You love her too, and you're happy. My daughter even follows her around. You are like the family we never were." Tears flowed freely down her cheeks. "I really messed up. It wasn't supposed to be like this at all. Chuck never loved me. He just used me. I found out he's having fun with one of the secretaries now. Everyone else at work falls into 2 categories. The nice people, friendly but serious about work, want nothing to do with me. And all the bullied guys, married or single, think they have the right to just put me in a corner and try to empathize with me because I'm such a slut. I live in an apartment with my parents and sleep on their damn couch. I'm a laughingstock to all our old friends. Remember Sheila, her husband Bert told her she should have an affair like me so he could get a promotion like you. Half the wives in town are afraid to even think about having an affair on the side because their husbands might follow you. Every time I call Sasha, she asks me what I want. When I answer that I just want to spend time with her, she asks why. I lost my husband, my best friend, my lover, my daughter, my home, my marriage, my future, and the man I wanted to grow old with over a stupid affair. Chuck came out of that situation free and clear. He lost nothing. You and Sasha seem to be doing well, and the people in town have a lot to talk and laugh about. I'm the one who got hurt, she cried. Isn't there some way you can make things right? She asked. I'm sorry, Dana, I said. You've realized a lot. Of course, there's even more you've missed. For example, it doesn't matter what you've been told is going to happen. Every situation is different. You were never going to get the house because it was in my family before we even met. I never got mad at Chuck or fought for you because when we got married, you were mine. The only person who had to fight for you was Chuck. He had to fight to take you away from me, but once you cheated on me, I didn't want you anymore, so there was nothing to fight for. I slapped Chuck across the face because he was looking at Gianna. She's the one I want. But don't worry about Chuck. He'll get his and then another and another. As for how people treat you, you get what you deserve. I was just as hurt as you were when I found out what you were doing to old Chuck. Only I didn't do anything to deserve it. Speaking of things you lost, you didn't so much lose them as throw them away. And they were just picked up by someone who seems to appreciate them a lot more than you do. I paused and looked at her. And finally, sometimes when you break something, it just can't be fixed, Dana. The best thing you can do is move on and not make the same mistakes. It doesn't matter if you love someone for 14 years or 14 seconds. When you rip their heart out, it hurts like hell. And it doesn't matter if you thought it was going to be a fling or a long-term romance. When you break your promises to the people you love, you risk losing that love. Dana, I know this is hard for you, but especially with Sasha, you are her mother and always will be. I will never try to forbid you from seeing her, and you can always come over anytime you want. You can have dinner with us or spend the holidays with us. Gianna won't mind, but we'll never have that opportunity again. Dana signed the papers and our divorce was finalized. Afterward, I sued Chuck Connors for the emotional distress he had caused me and my daughter. I also sued the company he and Dana worked for. Both Dana and Chuck were fired. Chuck's wife exposed him and he eventually ran away from her. We never heard from Chuck again. Dana was left to live with her parents. She rarely left the house and became a recluse. My daughter Sasha visited her often, and they were never as close as Sasha and Gianna, but they were still better off than before. I guess I never got over how Dana had hurt me, so I never trusted her again. And even though Gianna more than healed my broken heart and gave me so much love that I never looked back, I could never bring myself to forgive Dana. Over the years, Dana and Gianna became friends, and Gianna was one of the few people who could get Dana out of the house. It took 20 years and a very tragic set of circumstances for me to be able to spend any time with Dana. Sasha grew up, got married, and had a family of her own. I spent 20 wonderful, love-filled years with Zhenya. We had no children, but that didn't matter because Zhenya loved Sasha like she was her own. One morning, I was shocked to wake up and find Zhenya cold and motionless beside me. Later, it turned out that she had suffered a cerebral hemorrhage while sleeping. She died with a smile on her face, hugging me. All the doctors swore that she died instantly and felt no pain. I withdrew into myself, and for a long time I didn't talk to anyone or go anywhere. Sasha stayed with me for about 6 weeks, but in the end, she never could convince me to come home to her and her family. Heck, I was 55 years old, still young and healthy, but I just couldn't bring myself to do anything. Without Gianna's smile, life seemed meaningless. I drank too much and ate too little the first 2 days after my daughter came home to her family. I promised her I would call her every day and take care of myself and visit her if I worried too much. But I did none of those things. The third day after my daughter left me, everything changed. I woke up to the smell of bacon cooking. Since I hadn't eaten in days, the smell was intoxicating. I wanted bacon like I had never wanted bacon before. I stood up and staggered into the kitchen. "What the hell are you doing here?" I growled. "Our daughter made me promise to take care of you before you left. In fact, she was the second of your women to ask me to do so. Gianna always told me that if anything happened to her, she expected me to come back into your life. And here I am." "What if I don't want you back in my life?" I asked. "Why don't you just get out of here? But leave the bacon." "No," she replied simply. What do you mean, no? I asked. Luke, I know you still hate me, she said. I really messed things up. I betrayed you with a man who cheated on me with my own wife. Not because he loved me, but because he wanted to use me for sex. I gave up the love of my life to get some guy. I lost you, our daughter, and the beautiful life I should have had. Here she cried a little. Do you know that I've been going a little crazy? I went to a therapist, but it didn't help. I was bitter and angry for a long time. Then I made a new friend. She helped me realize that even though I had made probably the biggest mistake of my life, I wasn't done with my life. My life was supposed to go on. I had to pick myself up and move forward. After a while, she made me start going on dates again. These dates I went on from time to time were usually disastrous. At first, I realized that guys didn't want a serious relationship with me. They just saw a nice figure and wanted to have sex with me. I had been down that road before, and that mistake had cost me my happiness, so I wasn't going to put up with it again. I later dated some really nice guys, one of whom wanted to marry me. But Luke, I couldn't do that. My friend, who I'm sure you know is named Gianna, told me that the reason I couldn't commit to any of them was because I still love you. She and I cried at the tragedy of the whole situation. It was sad for both of us. I cried because my stupidity had cost me my love and my life with the only man I had ever truly loved. She cried because she was my friend. She cared about me and felt my pain, but there was no way she would have given up on you. She loved you too much to do that or even separate you. She finally told me that if something happened to her, I would have to take care of you and then maybe I could get you back. I still didn't want to even look at Dana. The first few days were horrible. Dana came to the house every day. She threw away all my alcoholic drinks. She cleaned the house, cooked meals, and even made me shave and clean myself up. At first, she didn't stay long, but as time went on, the visits became longer and longer. After a month or so, I just got used to her presence. After 2 months, she stopped coming home. She just slept in the guest room. She would clean the house and do whatever she could to make my life better, and then go back to her room. Of course, there were a few incidents. I'd walk into the bathroom and see her in there. Or I'd see her getting out of the shower and catch a glimpse of her partially naked body. 3 months after Gianna's death, Dana made me wash my car. Of course, I still drove the Mustang. I had 4 of them now. All these years later, I just couldn't bring myself to sell them or trade them in. Why should I wash the car? I snapped back. Luke, tomorrow will be 3 months since Gianna died. I know it hurts, but you haven't been to her grave since the funeral. This is another big step in you coming to terms with it. It's not going to be easy. It's going to hurt like hell. But you have to do it to move on with your life. She will always be a part of you and you will always remember her. But you have many years ahead of you before you join her in heaven, she said. It's very far away, so you'll have to accept that and move on. I'll probably be dead before you see her again. Of course, I'll probably go to hell. Hell should have a special place for those who cheat on the love of their life, she said. Imagine you and Gianna sitting on a cloud, wearing wings and playing harps, and me frying my ass up there, she said with a hint of a smile. Don't worry, I smiled back. If that happened, I'd pee on you to cool you off. It was a big breakthrough for us. After that, we started talking more and doing things together. It wasn't really romance. It was more like we were just good friends, but we were both okay with that. It was over a year before we ended up in the same bed. It was her birthday, and I had forgotten about it. When a card from our daughter came in the mail and reminded me of it, I felt terrible. I was going to rush to the store and try to buy her a crappy last-minute gift, but she told me there was something better I could get her. What do you want? I asked. 1 hour tonight, fully clothed in your bed, with your arms around me, she said nervously. That's not a gift, I said. It would mean more to me than anything else in the world, she said. I'm not asking you for sex, I just want you to hold me. That night we went to bed early. Dana came back into the room that had once been ours. She was wearing a long and very thick flannel robe. She snuggled up next to me under the covers with the biggest smile on her face. I hugged her, and she sighed. Nothing happened that night except that we slept through the night because we both fell asleep. The next morning I woke up and she relaxed. We got out of bed awkwardly, but for the next few days Dana walked around smiling. About a week later, Dana sprained her ankle and I had to nurse her to recovery. It was the least I could do after all she had done for me. Plus, we lived in this same house, and I knew neither of us wanted her to go back to the house she had gotten from her parents after they died. After the first night of her constantly calling me at night from her room, I just moved her into my room. It was easier for me to hear her that way. Her ankle was sore for a couple weeks, and I truly believe she took advantage of that to stay in my room longer. I think she just liked her ankle to be sore. After 2 weeks of sleeping together, Dana never went back to her room again. Neither of us ever brought it up. Then one day, about a week later in the middle of the night, it happened. I woke up as usual to Dana snuggled against me. There was nothing I could do. We had the best night of our lives. The next morning we both knew we were back together, but we didn't talk about it for fear of ruining it. She kissed me very tenderly and told me that she had never stopped loving me. And I told her again that I loved her. We've been like that ever since. We are not married, we just live together. We love each other and have sex, but we are not bound by the bonds of marriage. I think we saw how it was going to end and we just want to enjoy each other. Something very funny happened yesterday. After another night of lovemaking, Dana got up to make us breakfast. We wanted to hit the road early because we are driving the Mustang to Detroit for the Woodward Dream Cruise. I had just gotten out of the shower when I heard Dana yell, "No way in hell!" She yelled, "Not this time." Then I heard the sound of tearing paper and then nothing. I went into the kitchen, wondering what had caused her to react so violently. I found her calmly making breakfast. The mail had been delivered and there were several envelopes on the table. I noticed a few scraps of torn paper by the kitchen trash can and peeked inside to see what she had torn. "Just junk mail," she said, smiling. "Breakfast in 20 minutes and then we're leaving." I nodded, gave her a hug, and then, while she wasn't looking, gathered the scraps of paper from the trash can. I went to the basement and put the letter together like a jigsaw puzzle. When I realized what it was, I laughed with all the power of my lungs. It was an invitation to Dana to join the PTA. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for the next videos.